start, I guess. We're going to do a flow for our kidney meridian this morning. That basically runs down the back of the body. So there's Lori. Good morning, Lori. So anytime we do any kind of back bending, whether it's backwards bending or forwards bending, that's one way to stimulate the lines. Inner lines of the legs as well is part of the pathway. Sorry, the back of the body is the urinary bladder meridian, which is the pair of the kidney. But today we're going to try to focus on kidney meridian. So inner lines of the legs is part of the pathway, and then it goes internal. We'll talk more as we go. No need for details now, but just so you know a little bit about what's ahead. Some back bending and some inner line targeting of areas this morning. So I guess we will start. I know there's a couple of other regulars, but they might pop in yet. Come to a comfortable cross-legged seat. You can always lie back. This one is actually a 90-minute flow, so I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and do a different one. But so I'll modify here and there, so hopefully won't lose you, because we only get an hour on Instagram, so I'm gonna move a few things around, not that you need to know, but anyhow, coming to a comfortable seat. If you're sitting, one foot in front of the other is good. Remember to grab a little quilt or blanket or cushion just to sit this edge of your sit bones on. It's nice to have your hips, especially if you're sitting a little longer. We don't sit as long as if we were doing a full meditation, but it's nice to have your hips a little higher than your knees usually. That's recommended. You can lie back if you'd like and have your legs straight or bent. Inner knees can rest together if you are going to lie back. That's a little easier on the lower back. Feel free to stretch them out if you want at whatever point or not, or have them straight the whole time. Hands can be by your sides, palms up or down if you're lying back. They can be on your thighs, palms up or down, in your lap if you like. One hand on your belly and one hand on your heart is another nice position for your hands if you are lying back. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then let them slide down your back away from your ears and tuck your chin in slightly. That'll lengthen the back of the neck. Let your eyes fall softly shut if you haven't already done so. Just settling into your room, onto your mat. Just letting go of your morning thus far. But let go of today, whatever's on the list of things to do. Set all those busy thoughts aside. Try to let go of anxieties and worries. Surround yourself with this virtual cloud of calm and safety and peace. Letting the next hour be for you, body, mind, and spirit. Do a body scan now. Take note if there are any areas that are maybe in need of that extra little bit of care or attention. Areas on any level, physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional. And whatever issue or issues do arise, it's not that you're going to dwell on it or them, but acknowledge what does pop up. Maybe when you check in again with how you're feeling at the end of the hour, you may notice that things have subtly shifted in sensation or perspective. Feel the earth beneath you now. Feel grounded. Sense that earth energy nurturing you. mind's eye outside of your house to the skies above. But notice that uplifting energy as you do that. Yet you still are anchored to the earth. And then beginning to pay attention to your breath now. Don't change it, just notice it. Whereabouts in your chest cavity are you breathing? How fast are you breathing? Notice whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, or a bit of both. And then bring your awareness just inside the rings of the nostrils, feeling that air swirling in and swirling out. And maybe follow the path of that air on the next breath as it goes up your nose and down your throat into your lungs. Feel it go back out that same pathway. Notice the difference in temperature there. The coolness as the air first enters, and the warmth as it exits the body. Your breath is probably slowing down, deepening. Let it happen naturally, and then start evening out your inhales and exhales. You can always put a count to 2 or 3 or 4 on the inhale and the same steady count on the exhale. Don't force the breath. And if the counting doesn't work for you, there's that little mantra you can say to yourself. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Or just simply breathing in, breathing out. Ways to help keep your mind inside your body or bring it back if it wanders, because it will wander. But remember, noticing that it has wandered is the first and most important step. On another inhale, pay attention to how your rib cage moves now. Feel the fronts lift and separate. Bring your mind's eye to the back of the ribs. Feel them open. Side ribs. On an exhale, notice how that pearly white rib cage contracts. Go deeper to your lungs now. You can feel them expand, but see them with your mind's eye, healthy. Turning a beautiful, healthy, pinky red on the inhale. Slightly blue on the exhale. See how they fill up the majority of your chest cavity. Send them some gratitude for being healthy. And just take another couple of breaths, setting your intention for this morning's practice. And then, if you are on your back, make your way to one side. Everyone can blink their eyes open and closed a few times. If you were seated, you might want to lean back and lift your knees, straighten them out, give them a little bounce, maybe pointing and flexing those feet, rocking, just waking them up. Swing around and come to your knees. We'll do that 3-part Taoist breath this morning. It's a nice way to warm the back up a little bit as well as get some nice air into our lungs. So come to a seated position, Japanese seated position. Remember, if this isn't good for your knees, you can sit on a block. Always an option, or a couple of blocks, a cushion. You can roll up your quilt and put it behind your knees to take some of the pressure off your knees. That's always an option as well. Don't have to have your legs right together. If none of those work, then just stay seated as you were before. That's not a problem. You can still breathe just fine, no matter whether you're seated on your bum or seated on your heels. Hands are going to start off by our sides. All right, we're going to inhale, lift our arms up, cross behind the head. As you exhale, push against imaginary walls. Turn your palms up Inhale, fingertips to the shoulders. Exhale, round the back, drop the chin to the chest, push those palms away. Turn your palms up again. Inhale, slight back bend here, looking up, lift your arms up, and then exhale, bow. That's one round. We'll do some more. Inhale, arms out, around, and up. Cross behind the head, push against those walls. Kind of a stiff, jerky movement here. Palms up. Inhale to the fingertips. To the fingertips to the shoulders. Exhale, push away, chin to the chest. Inhale, looking up. Slight arch of the back. Exhale, fold. And again. Inhale. Cross behind the head, push against the walls. Exhale. Inhale, fingertips to the shoulders. Exhale, round the back, push away. Inhale, arch your back, looking up. Exhale, fold. Last one. See if you can do it with your eyes closed. Inhale, arms out. Cross behind the head, push. Exhale. Inhale, fingertips to shoulders. Exhale, round the back, push away. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold, and this time stay down in child's position, child's pose. Just noticing how you're feeling. A little bit of energy buzzing around in the body. And then slowly just coming back up. Take your time. I'm going to start out with butterfly pose here. So moving your way on to your bum. This one can aggravate sciatica, so you might want to either roll the end of your yoga mat up, or if you've got a little blanket or quilt, fold it and then sit your sit bones just on the edge of it again. Bring your foot soles together and have your knees flare open, just like butterfly wings. Our foot soles are not right to tight in, though you can bring them in a little closer if there's back issues. Remember, that's an option. But generally, we want a nice diamond shape here. Set a block underneath a thigh if this is bothering your hip or your knee. That can help. Remember, there's different sides to the block. If you're not going to use the block there, you might like to use it inside that diamond shape. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, start to lean forward. If there's back issues, disc issues that you shouldn't be rounding, remember, keep your tummy pulled in and just lean from the hips. If your back is good, let it round. Let your head go if that's okay for your neck. Your arms are just wherever they naturally want to be inside that diamond shape. Maybe they want to rest on the arms. Maybe they want to be rest on the legs. Maybe they want to be outside of the legs. As long as you're not pulling, you just come to that place where you kind of feel yourself stop. You know, you could probably go a little further if you did pull, but then we wouldn't be doing yin. Yin, the first principle, the first tattva is find that edge, that place where you do kind of stop, and then stay still there. That's the second tattva. Notice the tugging. Notice the various areas here. If you're finding it's a little too much for your head to dangle or be loose, you always can put a block in the center. Started to say that and then I went away. Or on your feet and rest your head on the block. That's an option too. If you don't get down that far, rest your arms on the block maybe. Or your elbows. And set your head in your hands. And then find that stillness. And notice the sensations you're feeling. You're noticing an outer rotation in the hip joints here. And you can probably feel a little bit of stress into the groin and the inner line of the legs. Maybe the ankles are talking to you a little bit. Maybe it's your low back. This is a nice decompression for your low back. Maybe you're really noticing it there. And the other part of the stillness tattva is that inner stillness. Physically, we're staying still, but internally, we're trying to pay attention. We're trying to stay within our body and notice these subtle changes, these letting goes that happen. Noticing our thoughts, trying not to get involved with them. Same with when emotions do arise, which they will. Maybe memories. The body is, as I say, our journal of our life. So we have lots of issues buried we don't even know about sometimes that arise with these long holds. And that's the third principle, is that we hold these poses for minutes. This first one we're going to hold for 4 minutes. And we're just into that 4th minute now. Notice if you're holding on to something, maybe physically, your shoulders are tight, kind of try to let them go. Relax your jaw. Ride that breath in through the nose, back out through the nose, or through the mouth if that feels better. The breath is the most important part of any style of yoga. In Yin, we don't always do specialized breath, but we do try to breathe calmly, evenly, through the nose. And from time to time, we do use the ocean breath. But the breath is our link to our mind. On an inhale now, you're going to slowly come back up. Exhale when you get all the way up. Lean back on those hands, just releasing your hips. Take your time. Set your foot soles down. And then if you like, do some windshield wipers here, just putting a little bit of motion through those hips. And then when things feel better, maybe you want to straighten for those knees and bounce. Just take your time, but when your things have settled down, swing sideways onto your mat. Again, bring that little rolled up quilt or a cushion to sit your sit bones on, and we're going to open our legs. Sitting sideways gives you that nice padding under your heels, but feel free to stay facing forward. Some of you might be on a carpet, so you don't need to do that anyhow, so not a problem. And we're going to have a block handy. You don't have to have, you can even, if you've got two, you don't have to have your legs totally straight. You can slip a block or 2 blocks under the knees like so, and give them something to rest on and a little bit of a bend. If this is quite intense for the hamstrings, you don't have blocks, you can pull your heels in and then just find that kind of sweet spot where you can relax the legs, but they don't have to be totally straight. We're going to start with a twist. This is nice for the spine, the lower spine. The kidney meridian surface is there and joins with the urinary bladder itself. So inhale over that right leg. And then as you exhale, start to lean forward over it. If you find that you don't need a block, it's a little bit too much, but there's, now that we're leaning over the leg, it's a little too intense, you can still pull your heel in a little bit, slip your hands maybe beneath the back of the knee and take some of the pressure off. Try to relax that left quad. It's crazy how it engages as you lean over this right leg. So try to get them both to relax, as well as working with meridians, acupressure, and in Yin, we also work on the fascia. And the more you can relax and soften your muscles, the better we can target the fascia. That's the ligaments, all that white stuff inside our body, films of fascia that encase muscles or organs that run through, these fibers that run through the muscles. And all of that material is a whole different way of being targeted to keep it healthy. These kind of long static holds is the way. with muscles, we know we do repetitions and we work, and that targets those cells to make more cells, and the muscle becomes larger and healthier. With fascia, we target the cells with these long holds at that tugging level, and that will increase cell production, stimulate them, and that'll give you a little more flexibility, a little more length, that elasticity that we tend to lose with the aging process, as well as if we're injured. Just going to take another breath or two here, really noticing that nice, delicious tugging along the inside line of the legs, where the kidney meridian runs upwards. Now on an inhale, we're going to slowly come back up to the center. Exhale. Inhale your way over the left leg, and we'll do that same thing over here. Notice a little bit of a brokenness feeling, maybe fragile, as you lean over this left leg. Maybe you find it feels tighter. Maybe you're amazed that you don't feel like you can go down as low as where you ended up on the first side. Those kinds of subtle, interesting things to note are also part of yoga, of yin. And the beauty of the body, the magic of the body, is that as you hold in these poses, and don't force, just breathe, you're going to find that your body lets go a little bit, and you can go a little bit deeper. And you may very well end up to the same place, or maybe deeper as you started off. But know that the body's different on either side anyhow, so this is another way of showing us those discrepancies, but a way of making them a little more even, so the body evens out. If you're finding that it's a little bit much for your head to let it dangle, again, you can, it's not as easy because the shin's a little bit bony there, but you might find a spot that you can rest your head on, or your arms, resting that block on your shins. Or maybe it feels really good to just let the neck go. And again, you're paying attention to your low back. If there's any disc issues with forward bends, keep that tummy pulled in. Engage that core a little bit and just hinge at the hips. Just 2 more breaths. And then on your next inhale, slowly come back up to the center. Exhale, noticing when you come out the sensations. If you feel that you've lost some of the pull along the inner lines of the legs, maybe wiggle the heels a little further apart. Maybe they're fine where they are. We're going to go right down the center here. Inhale, and then leaning forward. This is where a block can be really nice here. Rest your forearms on it, as I showed you before. Maybe your elbows and your head goes in your hands. Maybe it's 2 blocks. Everybody's different as far as leaning forward and tightness of hamstrings, because this has got a lot to do with our hamstrings as well. But it also has an awful lot to do with our skeletal makeup, and we have no control over the size, the shape of and the angle of our pelvis and the sockets that the femurs go into. So some people, depending on the shape and angle of those sockets in their pelvis, they lean barely forward, it might look to some people, and they're feeling a very strong compression. Don't stay with anything sharp or anything painful, back off. Other people, depending on the angle and flexibility, can go straight down with their face on the floor. Doesn't mean you have a better life or that you're a better person. You're just different. And that's one of the things I love about doing yin at home, is it takes away the room full of comparisons that we tend to get caught up in as humans. Ride your breath. Remember, keep relaxing. Relax your jaw. As you exhale, feel your shoulders relax. Keep trying to relax your legs. And this morning's thought comes from Iyengar, one of the students of it's gone out of my head. Krishnamacharya, perhaps, the lineage. Anyhow, he's about the same age as Pattabhi Jois, another line of yoga. A great yogi as well. Yoga does not just change the way we see things. It transforms the person who sees. Yoga does not just change the way we see things. It transforms the person who sees. Breathing in, breathing out. We're here for one more minute. Check in again. Make sure you're not holding on to something. Try to soften. Let go. The kidney meridian begins at our little toe, our pinky toe. And it goes along the outside line of the sole of your foot, like the outer edge of your foot. And then it comes to the arch by going underneath the sole. It comes up along the inner ankle and the inner leg, as I've mentioned, going internal at the groin. And then also, as I've mentioned, it runs along the lower spine, connecting there with the urinary bladder, meridian line, but then remaining internal, ending in the root of your tongue, so deep in your chest cavity. On your next inhale, slowly uncurl your way back up. Exhaling when you get all the way up. Those legs might feel like they're never going to come back together after holding for 7 minutes there. 8 minutes altogether. So help them in, give them a nice bend in the legs, lean back. That should just release your back as well as your hips. And then you have options here. You can fold them in to a loose cross-legged seat. Arch your back for further releasing your spine. You can do windshield wipers as we did after butterfly, which feels lovely after those long static holds. Some of you might, after butterflies or even before, want to do the reverse tabletop just to feel those muscles kind of grab back around the bones. You literally pull our skeletons apart. It's a phrase of Sarah Powers, but it's very true. This tugging that we do for minutes. So sometimes these little bit of muscle work, whether it's that reverse tabletop or these windshield wipers, can kind of help us feel put back together again, if you will. Right, so that was a little bit of twisting and forward bending for our spine. Now we're going to come on to our tummies. We'll do a little bit of backward bending. So we'll start off with Sphinx pose, which is where you're on your forearms here. If you find this is too much for your back, then lie your rib cage back down, slide your hands under your shoulders, and do baby cobra with the little elbows sticking up like little grasshopper legs. And everything else applies to you. Your hands are wherever you like, palms down, palms together in prayer, clasp opposite elbows if you like. Totally up to you. Your tops of your feet are resting on your mat. Legs relaxed, bum relaxed. You tend to use those muscles, and by all means, if this is hard on your low back or you're feeling it a little bit at the beginning, experiment with using your butt and glute muscles and leg muscles a little bit to help take some of the pressure off your low back. But generally, we try to soften there. Head is wherever it feels natural. Again, can be looking maybe down a little bit between your hands, can be looking in front of you about 1 meter. That'll keep it in line with your spine. Can be dropped if you like. We've done 2 poses now with our head dropped, so you might find that it feels good to leave it kind of sit on top of your spine. If you're finding that you don't have that much of sensation going on in your low back, float the feet up into the air. Find that sweet spot where you can relax, and then you'll notice right away that that does increase sensation in your low back, maybe in the front of your hip joint even, you're feeling it. If it's too much sensation, but having them down on the mat is not enough, just try opening the legs. That'll kind of be in the middle point. The other thing you can do, if you like, is raise your torso a little bit. Bring a block in and maybe set your elbows, forearms on that block. So there's lots of options here. This is targeting the kidneys. It compresses them with the back bend. So back bends are often great, mainly great for the urinary bladder meridian line that runs down the back of the body. And that we often do get a little bit of that work in when we're doing kidneys, because as I said at the very beginning, they're paired meridian lines, kidney and urinary bladder. But this also compresses the kidneys, this arching that we're doing here. Check in with your jaw. Make sure it's nice and relaxed. You're not gritting your teeth. There's a little bit of pressure in your forearms here, so we're doing a little bit of arm work, using a little bit of muscle. If you want to increase this even more, you have the option to go into seal pose if you like. I would float the feet back down first and move the arms in, straightening out, bringing your palms back a little bit, turning your fingers out to the side edges of your mat, straightening into those arms. You can use your arm muscles to rise up out of the shoulders. You can also use the arm muscles. They're engaged in this pose quite a bit as posts, and then kind of relax down into the shoulders. Either one is okay. So relaxing down or rising back up. For this last minute, no matter whether you are in seal, whether you are in Sphinx or Baby Cobra, tuck your chin in and then lift it up towards the ceiling, like you've got an imaginary tennis ball behind your neck and you're going up and over. Don't do this if there's any neck pain. Don't do this if you start to feel lightheaded. Some people get dizzy when they do this because they're starting to pinch off arteries that bring blood to our brains, so we do not want to do that. But this is very good for the front of our neck, especially these days with all the jobs that require so much computer work, and then our off time is over our handheld devices. This is a nice way to offset the aging process as well, that weakens our ligaments and supports in the front of our neck. And it stimulates the thyroid gland quite nicely as well. Relax your bum, relax your legs. You just lifted your head up. Take one more breath. And on the exhale, slowly come down. Stack your hands, your favorite hand on top, turn your head to one side. Puff your low back out with your breath to help release it. Bring your knee up alongside you, whatever way you're facing. Just a nice way to release that in the lower back. And then let that leg go down. Flip the order of your hands, the other hand's on top, turn your head the other way, and bring this other knee up. your leg go back down again. Push up onto all fours. And we should be set up ready here for some dragon poses. If you're finding that you need a little bit more padding under your knees, then bring your little blanket or quilt, set it across your yoga mat like so, and then set your knees on it. That can give you a little bit extra padding, especially if you're on a hardwood floor. And we're going to start off with our right leg. So where your right hand is, put your right foot there. Help it forward if you need to. Use your toes to wiggle your foot a little bit further forward. You want to have, basically, it's not paramount, but you want to have your ankle under your knee, so you've got that nice stability there. I try to get my arm, or my kneecap into the armpit. That helps. If you find it to give your right arm a little bit more length. Everybody's makeup is different, as I keep saying, so you might find that putting a block under that right arm or under both of your hands helps too, to give you that little bit extra stability, length for your arms. This pose has nothing to do with the arms. It's just helping us stabilize. Tuck your left toes under and move that left leg back until you feel that kind of, oh my God, it feels like splits kind of feeling. Set the top of the foot down on your mat and then try to relax into those legs. Notice as you relax how that sensation increases. Try not to, as I often say from Bernie's book and his trainings, he says don't get fixated on your pedicure or lack thereof. Close your eyes. And again, your head is whatever feels right for you. If you want to look down, that's fine. If you want to look in front of you, that's okay. If you want to let the head drop, that's okay too. We'll do a few of these dragon poses. And they're nice for the legs and working deeply into the hips, so we can feel that inner line here getting targeted. From here, we only hold them for a minute apiece. From here, we'll come to high flying dragon. So bring your torso up, rest your arms lightly on that thigh. Nothing too intense. We don't want to be pushing here. Both arms can stay there, or maybe it feels better to let one arm just relax down. Bring your torso back a little bit. We tend to lean forward like this over the leg. So try to bring your torso back a little bit. Watch your shoulders, relax them. If balance is an issue, then find a spot to gaze at. That'll help. If you find that your quads, one or both of them, start to cramp because they're doing a lot more work here, come back to that baby dragon. That's not a problem. Let things settle down and then maybe come back up. Feel the nice pull in the front of your hip here. You can feel the groins, both sides, the inner line of this bent leg as well. And then exhale as you put your hands back down. And then we'll go into dragon splits here. So use your toes to creep your right leg forward, forward, forward. This is going to be a lot more intensity into the groin. You get to a certain point and then lift your toes up and push through the heel. And then again, you're supporting yourself with your arms. So the arms are doing some work here. Just feeling the front leg. You can feel the back of that front leg, really strong pull. You can feel it into the hip there, and then feel the extended left leg, kind of a wrapping feeling into the groin, outer hip part maybe, and then the pressure into the front of that extended leg. One more breath. Use your hands to lift up a little bit. Pull this leg back in. If that doesn't work, you can always sit to the side and pull that leg in. Easy does it. Not the thing we do every day, and then you end up on all fours. Stay still on all fours for a few breaths here, just enjoying that delicious warmth, coolness, buzzing, flowing through your legs, hips. Spearmint feeling is so wonderful. Tuck your toes under and push up into a down dog that should feel equally wonderful. You can stay still for a few breaths in down dog if you like, just enjoying warming up the hamstrings again, and then lifting one heel at a time, sending the opposite one down. Dragons work very deeply into the hip sockets. You can really notice that. Come high on all your 10 toes, give them a nice good bend, maybe crunch them like you're picking up some pebbles. Send your heels down, push through your hands, hips are up and back, feel the length of your body. A little bit of muscle work here again. And then set your knees down and sink back to child's pose just for a short little regrouping here. And then slowly coming forward onto all fours again. We'll do the other side. So this time where our left hand is, we'll put our left foot there. Help it forward. Use your toes. Good to work those toes. Our feet are the first place we tighten up. So with the aging process, so anytime we can work them, that's good. Tuck those right toes and use them to creep your right leg back further. Then set the top of that leg down. Again, you're making sure that you're pretty stable here. That ankle is pretty much underneath the knee. Whatever works for you, though. It's not, as I said, paramount, but you want to have that stability. Hands on either side. You can be on flat hands, or maybe this time, whether you're on blocks or on your mat, go on your fingertips for a little while and strengthen those finer bones and joints with a little bit of pressure. Relax your legs as much as you can, noticing how that increases the sensation. Remember, listen to your breath. This is one of the poses where you can use the ocean breath, the Ujjayi breath. That's that HA sound in the back of your throat, so constricting the glottis muscle. But instead of sending that through your nose, through your mouth, send it through your nose. Kind of a Darth Vader sound. Inhale, coming to high flying dragon. Still feeling free to use that Ujjayi breath or just your regular yogic breath. Remember, bring your torso back a little bit if you find that you're leaning forward over that quad. Try not to put too much pressure on your quadricep with your arms. They're just loosely resting there. Try to relax those arms. Remember, look for a spot that you can gaze at to help with balance here. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. Working so deeply into the hip socket, you're giving yourself a deep tissue massage of your hips and your legs. Inhale now and set your hands down, and then we'll do the splits on this side. So use your dragon splits, they're called. So use your toes to move your left leg forward. You get to that point where you feel you want to push through the heel a little bit, and then just staying on your hands for support here. Breathing. Send your breath into your hips. Kidney chi is associated with fear as well. So some of these poses, especially this one, you might feel that bit of afraid or fear popping up. as we touch on some of the trigger points along this meridian, and then lift up, bringing your leg back in or sitting to one side, coming out slowly, mindfully, coming to all fours, just staying still again on all fours, enjoying that release, the rebound of this pose. And then tuck your toes under and push up to a down dog again. We're going to use a little bit of muscles here again, so you might want to stay still or not when you first get up into down dog, just enjoying feeling like your legs are coming back together again. Walking the dog, lifting one heel at a time, bending the opposite set of toes. Come up on all 10 toes again, give them a nice good bend. Maybe they're going crick-crack. Crunch them a little bit too for those toe knuckles. Send those heels down. Feel the lovely length of your hamstrings. Push into those hands. Your hips are up and back. And then once again, drop your knees down slowly and sink back to child's pose. Just letting all of that go. Maybe your heart rate's kicked up a little bit. The kidneys house our Jing energy, that's our essence energy. So anytime we can target kidney meridian, it's great to strengthen that essence energy. It's through all organic life. It's the essence of growth and decline. It's what makes a geranium, a giraffe, a giraffe. And then slowly come forward. What are we doing for time here? Okay, not too bad. We will come down onto our backs now. And we'll do what's called a happy baby pose. So you're lying down on your back. You can make this a little bit of a core exercise if you like. Protect your low back though by putting your hands beneath your butt cheeks, and then just do one leg or both legs at a time, straight or bent. Both legs at a time. Straight is the highest level, but always protecting your back. Lift your legs up into the air, ease your hands out from underneath your butt. So it's like you're standing on the ceiling here to get into this pose. Bend your knees down, but open them. So they're nice and wide. It's like you're thinking, okay, the knees are on the outside edges of my rib cage. And then reach up for whatever you can grab. Maybe you can hang on to the backs of the thighs. Maybe you can go a little higher up and grab the calves. Maybe you can grab the ankles. Maybe you can grab the inner or the outer line of your feet, whatever feels natural or feels right for you. Remember, if your breath comes short and fast and you're trying to reach higher and higher, then you're not doing yin anymore. So back off a little bit so that you can breathe, just like you were breathing in the opening meditation there. Use your arm muscles a little bit here, just to pull down whatever you're holding, whether it's the backs of the thighs, the ankles, the calves, the feet. Just using your biceps a little bit, and that'll increase the compression in your hip joint. You can feel this through the groins again and into the inner lines of the legs, the knees wide apart. It's kind of like you're thinking about getting your knees onto your mat. Again, be aware of your chin, your jaw. Relax it. Now just relaxing your arms so they're still just hanging on to your legs, but they're not pulling anymore. Just there for weights. I like what Sarah says. I just started to talk a little bit about the fear thing, but she words it very well here. Too much fear can deplete our kidney chi But conversely, too little kidney chi, we may become fearful. So again, as in most of yoga, balance. The Goldilocks, not too much, not too little, just right. So start to rock over your spine here a little bit, massaging your back. Should feel really nice. And then just for the end, always do this curl up. See if you can touch your toes to your nose, maybe your forehead. Do it in your mind's eye. Give them a little kiss if you like. Let those legs float down onto the mat. Enjoy that rebound of this pose again. Really can feel that warmth of blood rushing through those hips, legs, the inner line of the legs especially. You can really feel that once more. And then let your arms come out into a T. We've got our knees bent perfectly, so we're going to drop those knees both over to the right side. Scoot your right hip under a little bit if you like. You can reach down and rest your right hand on the knees if you like for a little bit of extra weight. If that's okay for your neck, turn your head and look to the outstretched left hand, thinking about your left ear, that it could come onto your mat. If you'd like a little deeper of a twist, simply straighten out your bottom leg. So the right leg will go straight, scoot the right hip under a little bit, and then you can maybe go a little deeper because the knee's not there. Try to keep both your shoulders more or less in contact with your mat. Breathing in through your nose, back out through your nose. If you want to play a little bit with energy, slide your left arm along the floor up by your ear. Notice as you're looking into that arm how this impacts your upper back. You can feel the energy or the pressure maybe a little bit move upwards. If you turn your head away from that left arm and you're looking out to the right, then you'll probably notice that it impacts the shoulder. So pick one of those head positions. Breathing in, breathing out. Twists are wonderful because they release tension in our spine. That's why we just naturally find ourselves doing them throughout the course of our day. We feel we need to let something go, and that's exactly what it is doing, letting that tension go. So they're at the end of yoga classes, just so we have that relaxing sensation through our spine. Inhale your way back to the center now. Plant your foot soles, lift your hips into the air so you realign your spine. And then we'll drop our knees slowly. Arms are out in a T to start off with. Drop our knees over to the left. If it's okay for your neck, turn your head and look to the outstretched right hand. Remember, you don't have to turn your head if that's too much for your neck or there's any kind of pain. Don't do it. You can reach down with your hand and rest it on the knees. And if you did the one knee twist on the first side, then you might want to move into that now. So straighten out that left leg, scoot your left hip under a little bit, maybe reach down with that left hand again or not. Again, remember you're just totally relaxing into your mat here. Slide your right arm, if you did this on the first side, up by your ear, and noticing how that's impacting the mid to the upper back when you do that. Moves the sensation of the twist a little bit. It's working with energy a little bit. And then once you've noticed the sensations there, maybe turn your head away from that arm so you're looking out to the left now, noticing how that impacts the shoulder. Steady breathing. And if you prefer to have the sensations in the mid-back, then it's to the upper back. It's totally up to you which position you put your head. And you can always keep it on the back of its head, of your head, remember to. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe taking a moment here to revisit that body scan you did at the beginning. Noticing if there has been a subtle shift. On your next inhale, slowly unwind back to the center. Plant your foot soles, lifting your hips into the air so you realign your spine, and then this time, after you set your hips down, bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a lovely hug, rocking over that spine. Might like to plant your palms on your kneecaps and push those knees around in big circles. It's like you're stirring a nice big pot. Go a couple of times each direction. This massages the low to the mid-back and even off to the sides. It feels really good. And then when you've done a few circles each way, setting up for your final Shavasana. Legs can be straight or bent, arms by your sides, a little bit away from your sides, arm palms up or down, it doesn't matter. Tuck your chin in slightly, take a nice deep breath, and let it go with a sigh. Maybe covering up with a quilt that you were sitting on now, so you can be nice and snuggly. Sink into your mat now, just like you're lying in warm sand. Nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Float away maybe to a happy place, or stay within watching the energies. Whatever you do, choose though, take rest now. Let your body absorb the benefits of this practice in Shavasana. Letting your breath be whatever it wants to be. Thank you so much for your presence this morning. May you have a wonderful Thursday. The light in me honors the light in each one of you. Namaste. Stay here for another 3 to 4 minutes, just absorbing the goodness. I'll see you next week on Tuesday, same time. Have a wonderful Thursday.